Taxes. Nobody likes them, but they control everything, from how much money you take home to how businesses operate and where investors put their cash. And in 2025, Trump's tax reforms are back in the spotlight. Welcome to 3x3 Finance, where we break down the most important financial shifts shaping your future. Today we're analyzing Trump's latest tax reforms, cutting through the politics to see what these changes really mean for your wallet, your job, and the economy. Let's jump straight in. Extension of the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Is it good or bad for you? What happens when a temporary tax cut becomes permanent? Trump's 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was one of his biggest economic policies, lowering tax rates across the board, but it was set to expire in 2025. Until now, what does this extension mean? For individuals, lower tax brackets remain in place, meaning you'll keep paying less in income tax compared to pre-2017 rates. For businesses, they continue benefiting from lower taxes on profits, helping them reinvest and expand. For the national debt, critics argue that extending these cuts will balloon the deficit, leading to higher interest rates and potential long-term instability. Some say keeping these cuts is critical for economic growth, while others warn it's an unsustainable financial gamble. But Trump isn't stopping at an extension. He's pushing for even lower corporate taxes. Reducing the corporate tax rate to 18%, a business boom or a revenue disaster? Will cutting corporate taxes really create jobs, or is it just a gift to big business? Trump wants to slash the corporate tax rate from 21% to 18%, making it one of the lowest in the developed world. Supporters argue it will attract companies back to the U.S., boosting job creation. Lower taxes mean businesses reinvest more into hiring, wages, and expansion. It makes America more competitive globally, drawing foreign investment. Critics warn it could worsen income inequality, with corporations pocketing savings instead of raising wages. The U.S. already has a huge deficit, and cutting taxes further could drain government revenue. There's no guarantee companies will use these tax cuts to benefit workers. If history tells us anything, some businesses will reinvest, but many will prioritize stock buybacks and executive bonuses. Simplification of individual income tax rates. Will it really make taxes easier? Wouldn't it be great if doing your taxes took 10 minutes instead of hours? Trump's latest proposal is all about tax simplicity. Instead of multiple confusing tax brackets, he wants to streamline the system into just three: 10% for lower incomes, 20% for middle earners, and 30% for high earners. The upside: filing taxes becomes easier. Fewer brackets mean less paperwork and confusion. Middle-class Americans may see slightly lower rates, keeping more money in their pockets. Less complexity equals fewer loopholes, making the system fairer. The downside: some people could end up paying more. If deductions are removed, some taxpayers in higher brackets might not actually see savings. Flat rates favor higher earners, meaning lower-income households may lose out on credits and deductions. Less revenue for social programs. If tax revenues shrink, cuts to Medicare, Social Security, and infrastructure spending could follow. Simplification sounds great in theory, but will it actually benefit the average taxpayer? From income tax to consumption tax. Is this the future? What if you only paid taxes when you spent money, not when you earned it? Trump has floated the idea of shifting from an income tax system to a consumption-based tax. Instead of taxing wages and salaries, the government would raise revenue through a national sales tax. The pros: you keep 100% of your paycheck. No more deductions for federal income tax. The rich pay more because they spend more. If you buy a yacht, you'll pay a massive tax on it. It encourages saving and investing instead of reckless spending. The cons: the middle and lower class could suffer. A national sales tax means everything you buy becomes more expensive. Older Americans could be hit hard. If you've saved your whole life under the current system, suddenly facing heavy taxes on everything you buy could be a major blow. It could spark underground economies. High sales taxes could lead to a surge in black market transactions. A consumption tax would be one of the biggest financial changes in American history. Is this the next step for the U.S. tax system, or an experiment doomed to fail? The hidden side effects of Trump's tax reforms, what no one's talking about. Every time taxes change, it's not just about what's written in the policy, it's about how people and businesses react. The way Americans spend, invest, save, and run businesses is about to shift in ways most people haven't even thought about yet. Before we dive into how these tax reforms could shape the overall economy, let's talk about three major ripple effects that could change everyday life. Will lower corporate taxes actually mean higher wages? If businesses pay less in taxes, will they really share the extra money with workers? That's the big debate. Supporters of the tax cuts say, more cash in businesses equals higher wages, more jobs, and bigger bonuses. Companies will invest in expansion, hiring more workers. Smaller businesses will have more room to compete. But history tells a different story. After the 2017 corporate tax cut, some companies did raise wages, but many used the extra cash for stock buybacks instead. That means CEOs and shareholders benefited more than employees. Big corporations used the money to boost stock prices instead of creating new jobs. Small businesses still struggled, while major corporations dominated the market. So will history repeat itself? Or will businesses actually reinvest in their workers this time? The real estate market could get messy. Will Trump's tax changes make housing more affordable, or will they make it even harder to buy a home? Here's what's happening. Lower business taxes mean more economic growth, people feeling wealthier, and more demand for houses. More demand plus limited supply means home prices skyrocketing even further. With fewer deductions and tax breaks, some homeowners may actually see higher tax bills. For first-time buyers, a booming economy could push home prices out of reach. If mortgage rates rise, monthly payments will become unaffordable for many. Some states could lose housing tax incentives, making ownership more expensive. For investors, rental properties could become more valuable as more people are forced to rent instead of buy. A shift away from income tax to consumption-based taxes could impact property tax structures, leading to unexpected costs. For current homeowners, if Trump's reforms eliminate deductions for mortgage interest, homeowners might end up paying more in taxes overall. So is this a real estate boom or a housing crisis waiting to happen? Will wealthy Americans start fleeing to tax havens? Lower taxes sound great, but will high earners still feel like they're paying too much? Over the last few years, we've seen an exodus of wealthy Americans moving their money and themselves to tax-friendly locations. Popular U.S. destinations include Texas and Florida, which have no state income tax, attracting entrepreneurs and millionaires. Nevada and Wyoming also have business-friendly laws, making them hotspots for investors. International tax havens like Puerto Rico offer a legal way to pay almost no federal income tax while staying a U.S. citizen. Dubai, Singapore, and the Caribbean are low-tax countries drawing crypto investors and high-net-worth individuals. If Trump's tax reforms don't go far enough, will the rich still find ways to escape taxes? More offshore tax shelters could emerge as people look for legal loopholes. The government could crack down on tax avoidance, leading to stricter financial regulations. It all comes down to one question. Will Trump's tax changes be enough to keep the wealthy from leaving, or will they just find smarter ways to avoid taxes anyway? How will these tax reforms affect the economy and the public? Before we judge Trump's tax reforms, let's look at the possible outcomes. Best case scenario, businesses thrive, job growth surges, and America becomes a global economic powerhouse. Tax simplification makes life easier for millions, boosting public confidence. A new tax system creates stable government revenue while reducing inequality. Worst-case scenario, tax cuts blow up the national debt, forcing painful budget cuts in the future. The rich benefit while the middle class and lower-income families struggle to keep up. Radical tax shifts create economic uncertainty, scaring off investors and businesses. So what's the real impact? It depends on how these policies are implemented and how Americans respond. Some will see bigger paychecks and stronger businesses, while others could face higher costs and uncertainty. But no matter where you stand, these tax reforms will shape the future of the U.S. economy. What do you think? Are these tax reforms the right move, or will they create long-term financial problems? Drop a comment below, and if you found this analysis helpful, subscribe and hit that like button, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching 3x3 Finance.